and welcome aboard our brand new Pathfinder 2700. This boat is really exciting, and whenever we design a boat at Maverick Boat Group, we think about the boat's mission profile, and basically that means, what do we want to design, what solution do we need to deliver to the customers out there in a boat that will allow them to do what they want to do. And in this particular boat, basically the mission profile was, we really felt like there wasn't a great boat out there that really allowed you to do a whole bunch of different things in the near shore and offshore environment. And when people fish that way, they do it in a number of different ways. They bottom fish, they troll. You have also a lot of people that'll do the sight fishing thing on the surface for maybe migrating tarpon or cruising cobia, or even up in the Northeast for busting false albacore on top of the surface, or the tunas, or all that kind of stuff. And this boat we designed around that person that really likes doing that kind of fishing and can do it all and can bring all the tackle they need to do that in a day. And that ranges from big offshore rigs, bottom fishing rigs, even fly tackle. And so we designed this boat for that very thing. So if you'll spend a couple minutes with me, I'll take you through the boat and show you exactly what we did to accomplish all that. So when you're doing that kind of fishing, that near shore, inshore fishing, a lot of times you have to cover a lot of ground. Maybe you catch bait in one place and then have to run to another place a long ways away, and then maybe that fishing isn't happening, and then you come back to the beach or something like that. So we wanted to design a really high performance hull, and also a boat that was big enough, this boat is 27 feet, to allow you to really span the waves so you can have some great open water running capability. So like I said, it's 27 feet long. It's 9'4" wide, so it's really beamy, but not only is it really beamy, but as I walk through, you'll see how well the boat is proportioned, how well it carries that beam, and how really spacious it is. It's also a double-stepped hull, so it's very fast and very fuel efficient. We package the boat with anything from a 300 all the way up to max horsepower can be a 450, excuse me. We have the Yamaha XTO 425 on this boat. That's a great package. Top end 60 miles per hour, right around there, and you're going to be cruise somewhere in the almost 35 miles per hour, somewhere in there. We have a 97-gallon fuel cell on board. You can augment that with an additional 31-gallon fuel cell, so you can have 128 gallons of total fuel. That gives you plenty of range to cover all that ground you need to, whether it's running out to the middle grounds or over here on the east coast of Florida, running out the other side of the stream or the corner, or up northeast, running out to the banks, or all that kind of stuff in the canyons. So the boat is very open water capable, very fast, handles a chop really well. It's constructed using our VARIS construction system. That's a vacuum assisted resin infusion system. So the boat's 100% vacuum infused. That creates a really tight, stiff laminate, so the laminate you can feel when you're running. There's not going to be a lot of shudders or shakes or anything like that. Also, that makes for a very strong laminate as well, without a lot of excess resin weight. So you can put on a big engine like the 425, and you're not going to have that extra resin weight that's going to weigh you down. If you look at the pictures or any of the videos that we have online here, you'll see that the boat balances really well, even with this big engine on the back of it. So that all goes into the design and that VARIS construction and that double-stepped hull. So it's a great running boat that allows you to cover a ton of ground. So when you design a boat like this, if you're going to not have much of a back-end transom, a lot of times you're left with putting one of the primary bait wells down on the floor, which works fine. It's nice when you have the net to drop everything in the bait, but to get the bait in and out of it in a day requires a lot of stooping down, netting them, getting up, and that kind of thing, and it's sort of tiresome. So what we decided to do was do this little bump out here. So we have this 22-gallon well right here, okay? And this lid opens up, stays nicely out of the way. What I really like about this is that it's right here, right next to you. You can grab a bait really quickly, and that's really what it's designed for. It's sort of almost like a pitch well out the back of the bait. So you have this bait in here as well. I'll talk about the leaning post live well that's standard also. That's your primary big bait well, or your big well back there. But this is just a great setup, has this well right in here. All these wells have independent pumps. We have a drain system in here that allows you to moderate the flow so you can pressurize the wells. and get everything in equilibrium. So they work really well. But I love this, just being able to fish right here. I can put my net, my bait net, in these cup holders / rod holders, which is great. If I don't have a bait net in there, I can keep my drink in here as well. Everything's really close by, hands reach. Take my net, dip bait real fast, I'm right back into action. So I really, really like this setup. And then in doing this, I figured out a very clever way to allow bilge access, all right? And that happens through this great big hatch right here. This comes completely up. It sits just like that. You can see how big that area is. I could crawl in there if I wanted to. Everything is laid out really well. Everything is very easy to know exactly what it is. The wires are all labeled. I always talk about how we build our wiring harnesses in-house, unique to every model. Obviously, we've done that here too, but each one of those ends on those wiring harnesses are labeled so you know exactly where the wires are going. Everything has the big oversized seacock valves on it if it's below the water line, so you can shut that water off, keep it outside of the boat. That allows you to do on the water maintenance. Also, if for whatever reason there's a breach upstream on that line, you can cut that out and keep all water out so you can keep any kind of leaks out of the boat. But you can see how really nice this is in here, all finished out, gel coated, just a really, really clean, sharp area that's easy to access. Another thing I really like about this boat, and I think is really ingenious in how it's designed, is that you have this open area up under the gunnels here. That works well for a number of things. Obviously, you can use it for rod storage or gaff storage, scrub brushes, that kind of thing. We have more of it up forward that even allows for longer rods like fly rods or offshore fishing gear. As I said before, if you're going to be doing all that kind of fishing in a day, you need to have places to put all that stuff. And this boat absolutely does it. Another nice thing about this, opening this up and having these bolsters here, it gives a really nice, comfortable area to fish in. I can tuck up, I have my knees right against here. I'm very secure, I feel very stable down in the boat. I can fish, I can get a good straight up and down pull on maybe a big grouper that's digging for the bottom or something like that. That's really nice. And also, if you're gonna be doing that kind of fishing, you're gonna need a lot of places to put your fish, okay? And a lot of fish box space, and this boat achieves that threefold. So we have 3 fish boxes. Each one can be independently mass rated, so it's completely up to you on how you want to do it, but they're all insulated. And so you have this one and an exact same one on the other side, this twin, but you have a big open area here, nice deep area. You're back here, you gaff the fish, you're right into the box, super easy. The lid stays out of the way, one latch, so it's easy to open and close. Stays really nice and dry in there around it, and you don't have any detergent or any water coming in from the deck that's going to go in and spoil your fish. So very good setup. What's really nice about it too is that you can use this as dry storage as well. So if you're not a person, like I said, there are 3 of these on the boat, so for most people 1 will suffice, so the other 2 could easily be used for dry storage. But really nice setup. It's critical to have a bunch of fish box space, and this boat certainly does it. So obviously, if you're going to be fishing for a bunch of different things and doing a lot of offshore fishing, bait is really important. And we wanted to make sure that we could put a big enough well on this boat that you could put a day's worth of chum baits, white baits in them for fishing potholes inshore, or big baits, blue runners, what have you, big mullet, thread fins, all that kind of stuff. And we've designed this well. Not only is it really pretty with all the glass around it, so you can see sort of aquarium style, which is really nice. Not only is that a really neat feature, but also it allows you to check on your baits to make sure everything's good. But also, it's right here, very close, like I said, to the back end of the boat, which is great. Has a big opening, okay? A lot of times when you have these kind of Livewell setups here, these Livewell leaning posts, you have a really small opening, and that's problematic for a number of reasons. One, it's really hard to get the bait into if you have a net or anything like that, and it's hard to get the bait out of, especially if you have a big well and a little opening. You're gonna have to do a lot of reaching. This has a great big opening right here. It's really easy to get in, get your bait out. It has its own pumps, as I said before, and it has 2 pumps, so it has redundancy between the 2 pumps. So if you have one go down, you can flip on the other one. You're not going to lose your bait. Also allows you to moderate the flow. Some people like to have more volume and less flow, all kinds of things. So this is really customizable about how you want your well to be set up in terms of the amount of water you're exchanging. It has these valve systems on there, so those can be adjusted, so you can really achieve that perfect balance and get everything pressurized in here, so you're not going to have that bait sloshing around a lot. But a really pretty setup that works really, really well. All right, I think I said it is 42 gallons, so it's a great big well. Also, you have more rod holder space right here. This is an option, this leaning post Livewell rocket launcher right here. So great place for rods, obviously. You have more rods back up here on the hardtop as well. But once again, if something changes, you have a tangle up or something like that, a bunch of fish on the back of the boat, you can grab another rod real close by and get right back into the action and get a bait from either one of these wells, and you're right back to fishing. So really nice setup. Doesn't take up too much room here at all. I have plenty of space behind it here. I have plenty of space around it as well. So on the front side of the Livewell leaning post here, this is the standard setup. These are the convertible LeBrock seats with the convertible bolsters, convertible armrest. Really very comfortable. Also great looking with the cross stitching and all that kind of stuff. You could do this also, this is the standard white. You could do it in the white and gray or the two-tone tan, but very comfortable seat, nice setup. Also below here, you have a really great use of space. This area down here is designed to fit like Plano boxes, so your actual tackle trays. So you can put those in there, you have them, you take them out from the first part of the day, you throw them in there, and then when you need to change rigs or something like that, you aren't having to go around and dig them out of a bag. So great use of space in there. The reason we have these clips here is you can pull this whole assembly out, and that allows you access to your batteries. So your batteries are contained up under here, so they're out of any kind of elements or anything like that. And this door removes, pulls away, and allows you this great access, this big opening here to get into all those batteries. The boat comes standard with a 36-volt trolling motor system on it, and then you have a house battery. I believe you could even put a second house battery on it as well. So, but does a great job of handling all this stuff. It's a great use of space under here. I really like how this is laid out, where you have those tackle trays in there, and then you can also get to your batteries as well. So if you want to access the batteries, all you have to do is pull this tray out here, get it out of the way. I've removed that door, one of the take apart hinges, and there you have it. And you can see all the battery cables are labeled, so you know exactly what wires are going where, but just a great setup right here. So if you know Pathfinder at all, you know we're very particular about access to things. And so we want things readily accessible, but out of the way and out of the elements. And that's what we achieve right here with this battery switch box. See, nice acrylic doors, acrylic box there. You can see here you have your starting battery switch and an independent house battery switch, so those can be separate. You also have a nice parallel switch. That's in case in case one of the batteries goes down, you can go ahead and pull off the other battery to crank the engine using that emergency parallel switch. Also, you see the breakers in here that are clearly labeled. It's very easy to reset those if one were to pop. So now moving on to the helm station. And this is a really nice setup here. You can see with this seat bolster kicked back a little bit, I have sort of a leaning post type scenario. I can tuck my feet up underneath the toe kick there, so I'm locked in, I'm very comfortable. Everything is right at hand's reach, perfect. You know, we got the Edson steering wheel option on here. As I said before, you have the standard jack plate with the blinker switch. This allows you to manipulate that jack plate without ever taking your hand off the wheel. Really nice tilt helm there. The trim tab indicators here. Everything is really easy to see, perfect in hand's reach. This boat comes with the electric steering on it, the Optimus electric steering. And not only does that give you the capability to have sort of that power steering feel that you need on these bigger horsepowers because of all the torque to overcome that. But what's really nice about it too is it allows you to tie in the Garmin autopilot. So we've done that on this boat. We feel like a lot of people, if they're going to be using this boat, like just we talked about running offshore and all that kind of stuff, they're going to like that autopilot feature. But in having the electronic steering standard, it's a plug and play type application. You can put that in later if you want. Here you have the big matching gauge for the Yamaha 425. Not only can you use your engine data on it, but it also has sonar capability and that kind of thing, so it can be a secondary use for that. We wanted to make sure this area here was big enough to put great big electronics in. Here you have the Garmin 16-inch unit, fills that space perfectly. I can see it really, really well. JO audio, optional stereo package. If you were to get that, you get 4 stereo speakers with it down below, and then if you're getting a hardtop like this, you have 4 more speakers there, and so an amp comes with that setup. And then you have the Garmin VHF. But it all lays out really nice here. It's very good looking, easy to see. I have a little place where I can put my cell phone down in here if I want to. I also have another place down in here, okay? I have little glove box. That's great that I can put my cell phone in there. There's a USB charger in there, so you can put it in there and go ahead and charge your cell phone while you're out on the water, which is a nice feature. That doubles as another footrest. You sort of have 2 footrests here when you have the seat down in this position here, where you're sort of tucked back in there and seated. Your legs aren't left just dangling. They can either, if you're shorter, you can go ahead and put your feet up on here, which is really comfortable, or you can put your feet up on that secondary footrest right there as well. But also, you notice how in this particular case, we have the white gel coat up here, the blue here. This is a separate insert, as is this footrest area. So you can color match that however you like. You can do whatever colors you want. You can match it to the hardtop if you like. You can match it to the outside the hull. You can also color match this leaning post tackle station here as well, the fiberglass portion on that. And in addition, and tying all these colors together, we offer the C-deck as well for the under gunnels, which is a really sharp look. We offer it in either the gray and black photique or the brown and black photique. And another thing that's really nice about this setup is under this whole thing right here, we have LED blue strip lighting. So it really gives a really cool effect. Not only that, but it brightens up the whole deck area in low light conditions without providing a lot of glare. It allows you to see really well, and it looks really sharp too. So you can do a bunch of things on this boat to really sort of bling it out, which is really fun. One thing I didn't talk about, cup holders up here. You never have enough cup holders, perfect location for them there, and then standard with the compass there. But just a really nice, good looking setup that's also very functional as well. People really like our tops, and the reason being is they look great. They're also very functional. As you can see, this one that I talked about before, you can color match them to whatever part of the boat you want, which is really, really nice. They also have the recessed bosses here for like the speakers and your down lighting and that kind of thing. But one of the great benefits is more storage space up here. So you have this forward little box here, all right, and that's lockable. All these latches are lockable. So you can put your electronics in there or something to that effect, all right. That stays open when you want it to. All you have to do is close it just like that, seals nice and tight. And you also have another lockable storage box back here as well. This one is ventilated, so if you want to put some of maybe your smaller inflatable PFDs or something like that, you can do that in here and they won't get mildewed. But it's always really nice to have a bunch of storage space right here around the helm area, because obviously you have a lot of things that you need to get to. This has the white powder coating on it. You can also obviously get it in just this silver. You can also do it in the gray. You can do it in a gloss black, or you can do it in a matte black. And then also we're going to option this boat with a second station tower as well that has the full controls up top. You can put an 8-inch Garmin unit up there and have everything, and it has rod holders and that kind of stuff. So you can really have a fully functional second station up there that allows you more elevation to be able to see those cobia that are cruising below the surface, or tarpon or triple tails or whatever it may be. So you can see how really spacious this boat is. Even though we have this big console here, I have plenty of walk room outside of the console. Note how deep I am here with the gunnel height, so I'm very secure. I have a handhold right here as I go through. I have more rod holders here that you can put the rods through these slits here, so you can put long spinning rods or that kind of stuff up through here. So just more rod storage space, more rod storage space down below as well. And these are the long rods. You can put fly rods in here if you want. big offshore spinners, even with big reels and that kind of thing, they're not going to be sticking way out into the passageway here, so you're not going to be bumping your legs or anything like that. But these are nice lock and load. You just drop the rods in here, they secure, you're ready to go. So great use of space, and as I said before, opens things up. You have the high gunnel, so any place in the boat from here on back, you're going to feel really secure. And it's just tons of fishing area as well. I'm not getting impeded by the hardtop or anything like that. I can fish. I'm super secure down in the cockpit, and just a great use of space and super spacious. So coming in front of the console, you see how much space I have up here. We have this big cushion here that comes standard on the boat, as does the 50-quart Engel cooler that's cushioned out. You can put a fiberglass cooler here as well. We have that option that can be color matched to everything, or you can leave it off. And we've heard a lot of people talk about even wanting to put like a big coffin box type cooler setup up here as well. And that's something you could do aftermarket, but it's plenty spacious to do all that. So a lot of room to work with up here. You have this nice big floor hatch, great place to put cast nets, that sort of thing. Also, you can see we have bumpers in here. You could have all your safety gear down in here. It's very accessible. This is where your auxiliary fuel tank would go if you wanted that extra 31 gallons. It would tuck back in here. This bucket goes all the way back in here and tuck back in here. So you'd have that extra fuel, but you'd still have all the storage space you see right here. So once again, great use of space and just tons more storage. This is a really clever idea, which I really like. This is another raw water outlet. We had one in the back, starboard side there, in the back end of the boat. Those are standard on the boat. You also can get fresh water outlet as well that you can use to obviously wash down yourself with fresh water. But the raw water outlets are really nice, especially having one forward and, having one back and one forward. Especially considering that a lot of times this is where you're going to be cast netting. You know, you're going to run up here to the front of the boat. You're in shallow water, so you can see that bait. You have this big area up here to be able to easily throw the net. And so when you pull in that net, you always have bits of debris in there, grass, that kind of thing. So instead of having to go all the way back and pull a hose forward to wash it all down, you have a port right there that allows you to wash it right down, and all that stuff just flow out the back of the boat. So great little setup right there. So in designing this boat, it was really important to us that, like I said, that mission profile, being able to do that offshore fishing, but also nearshore fishing and even inshore fishing as well. But to do that effectively, you really need a raised bow area. And so that's why we set this area up here. You have this great big space, but at the same time, it doesn't take up too much room. So I still have plenty of space down here. You have this great setup right here with these steps. These steps are just the perfect height, so it's very easy to go up and down. On a lot of boats, you have one step right here that's sort of a pinch point, so that if people are coming, one person wants to come up, one person wants to go down, you have to wait. Here, I can go around, that person can come up that way. It's just a really great use of space, very comfortable, easy to manage as you step up forward there. Right here, we have yet another fish box. I talked about the two fish boxes back there. This is another insulated box. This one's 42 gallons. It can be macerated. All right, so you can use it as a fish box if you want, or once again, you can use it as storage. But well insulated, it'll keep fish from ice all day. If you want to use it as a secondary cooler, you can do that too, or dry storage. But great use of space on this step right there. Once again, seal stays really nice and dry. Lockable, like I talked about, so you could take this boat down, trailer it someplace, put all your gear in here, keep the gear in here and lock it up, and it's going to be secure overnight. Another big storage box right here, okay? This box is super deep, goes way down there. You know, if you're going to be doing all these kinds of fishing, you're going to need space for all that various gear and all those different kind of terminal tackle and all that kind of stuff. So storage space was really important to us when we designed this into the boat, and there's a ton of it. All right. Again, that seals down, stays nice and tight. So now I go all the way up to the raised casting deck, and I really like this a whole bunch, because in a lot of applications you are going to need to get up and high and elevate so you can see better, and especially like in a cast netting situation where you're catching bait in the morning. It's really nice to be high, elevated. You can see where you're throwing. This is a big enough area here so you're not going to trip over anything. You're not going to feel like you're going to fall off into the cockpit or anything like that. I also like it because it's a great place to throw the fly rod if you're up in the Northeast or something like that, striper fishing or false albacore or even the tunas or what have you. It's easy to get up here, whether fly rod, big spinners, whatever. You can get up high, elevated, you can see everything, and you can make that cast and you're not have anything in your way at all. So this is what sort of gives that hybrid element to this boat, is this really nice raised casting area. Like I said, very easy to move around. You're not going to trip over anything like that. I also like this aspect to it right up here. These are those cup holders / rod holders. This is great to have a drink in, obviously. A lot of people don't realize the benefit of having a rod holder up here. If you're fishing up here and you want to go back and get something, you're not laying your nice rod on the non-skid, okay? You're just putting it there. If you land a fish and somebody's gaffed it and they're unhooking it, you can put the rod holder right in there and they can take the fish away. It's just a great place to store rods just while you're in sort of the day's action and not have to get them on the floor, mar up the rods, reels, or have somebody step on them. So that's a really clever use of that space right there. Moving forward, we have a big anchor locker here, okay? I think oftentimes, especially now especially like bay boats, anchor lockers are often an afterthought, and it's because people are using the GPS trolling motor, and with those GPS trolling motors, what they can do is they can do just what we've done here, is you can anchor lock in a setup, which works really, really well, especially, you know, offshore fishing and over a rock pile or something like that. You're not having to deal with getting in and out of the anchor and having to set it and deal with, you know, bringing in lots of rods and chain. But nonetheless, an anchor is critical, if for nothing more than a safety mechanism, if for whatever reason your power does go down. So it's really important to have a big anchor locker, one that's easy to use, just like this here. You have a big wide opening, you have a ton of space down there for plenty of rod and chain. You have the nice clips here that keep the anchor secure so that it's not going to bounce around and mar the interior at all as well. On this particular boat, we have the trolling motor plug up here, okay? That can be put down here as well, so it's nice and out of the elements also, so that's a good use of this anchor locker. You have this line right here, or this recess right here, that allows you to run that wiring through there. Also, you can run the anchor rod through there to tie off on one of your cleats. So when we're designing a boat, not only do we have a lot of opinions about what we want to put in the boat, but we survey our customers as well. And one thing that was important to them is having a big storage area under the console that, if you wanted, allowed a head. And so that's what this does in here. You can put a porta potty in here as well, but it's plenty big, has great use for storage. Also, there's a place in here where you can put your cell phones, and there's a charging port in there with a nice little cubby, so you can do that. You have your breakers that are in here on a breaker panel that's very easily labeled, that's easy to reset. You have access to your amp as well, access to the back side of your Helm station, and access to your battery bank for your trolling motors. And you have that separate battery switch here as well for your trolling motor, so you can isolate all that. So great place for storage, or if you want to put a head in there, works great for that as well. So does dual purpose, and was really important to our customers, so we definitely wanted to do it for them. So I hope I've done a good enough job to show you really how exceptional this boat is and how it does so many things so well. From inshore fishing, it only drafts about 17 inches of water, to all the way offshore with a big, you know, hull that's high performance that can take those big seas. You have all the Livewell space, you have all the storage to be able to accept all that various gear that you're going to use in a day from inshore to offshore. So it's a boat we're really excited about. I think you definitely need to take a look at it for yourselves and just see how spacious it is and how well everything is laid out. So do yourself a favor and go to your local Pathfinder dealer and have a look at the boat, get on the water with it and run it, see how easy it is to move around the boat. I think you're really, really going to like it. Also, you can find more material at www.pathfinderboats.com.